My roommate was a karate guy. He was a brown belt, and I used to train with him, and I was really interested in doing it. He was a large guy. He was like 240 pounds. We used to throw people in the pool every morning as something to do, because we were kids. So I weighed like 140 pounds. So one day we were throwing this guy, my roommate, in the pool, and somehow I got him on the ground and I put him in a headlock, and he couldn't get out. So he's a 240-pound brown belt in karate, and I'm a 140-pound guy who doesn't know anything, and he couldn't get off the ground. So afterwards I thought, geez, if he did that to me, I would be dead. I wouldn't be able to do anything. That's what got me into grappling. So when I came back down to Portland, I started training in grappling because I was like, oh, I need to learn that because that's important.
They were grappling in Joe's basement, and I was like, this is so ridiculous. And then they're like, hey, come to a class. So I went to a class, and then I loved it. And
yeah, I started because of friends, and before I actually had my first class, I was outside just looking and paying attention to what the sport was all about. And I sat there every Tuesday and Thursday for about like 3 weeks, just trying to understand what was going on. Because when you don't actually train, like, you don't really understand the techniques that are going, through the classes. And that's when I finally decided to go, and I finally felt the power of what those guys were doing there. It's like the control that you can have against like somebody else, and that kept me going.
The other part is it's never ending. It's always changing. It's always different. It's never the same. So there's these two aspects: the camaraderie part and the good friendship that you build over the years, and the fact that you can always continue to learn while you're doing the game. That it's never stagnant. That keeps you coming back.
The addiction was immediate. It was like love at first joke, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was pretty instant for me, and I've been hooked ever since. And it's kind of been, I always kind of equate it to like life is like a tornado, you know what I mean? And Jiu Jitsu is kind of the rock that I hold on to when everything else is going crazy. As I always have, I have Jiu Jitsu in my life, and it's brought the best people into my life. You know what I mean? That's how I met my wife. That's how all my friends, all my everybody that I care about really now that's in my life, that's brought good into my life, is from Jiu Jitsu. So yeah, I owe everything to Jiu Jitsu.
This has to be more than just a way to beat people up, or more than a competitive sport. Or why would you be compelled to do it for all of your life? It works great on a metaphorical level, that you get to experiment and make mistakes in here that you would figuratively or metaphorically never be able to make outside of here, because you would be dead or injured, or even you couldn't risk that big of a possibility. So on a certain level, you can come in here and you can be willing to try lots of things in a safe environment that you couldn't do in the real world. So when you go out into the real world, you have a better chance of being willing to try things, but a better idea of what is practical to try and what is not practical to try. It's a weird dichotomy, because on one hand, you're more confident and more willing to try things than you were previously. On the other hand, you're more cautious and more controlled about what you try. So you give things more thought, you understand them at a different level. The other thing that I think is really important is this really teaches you to deal with adversity very effectively. Because every time you come on the mat, no matter how long you've been there, there's always somebody that gives you trouble, taps you out, does something you've never seen before, and it's you either want to keep coming back and overcome that, or you just quit. So as a metaphor for life, I always tell guys that I train with or I train, well, what are you going to do if you're in your life and something bad happens? You've got two choices. You can commit suicide, you can kill yourself, or you can continue on. And really, you get to do that in here every day. I mean, you get to figuratively get killed every time you tap, and start over every time you start over. So every roll is new, every roll is different, and every roll is fresh. So that's really cool.
Well, control, You have way more control of your life. You start learning your body in a better way. You know, you get more confident. There's a lot of lessons, especially you learn how to be humble and be polite with other people, because you're never going to be the best in Jiu-Jitsu, no matter how much you train. There's always going to be someone there that's training more than you are, it's training harder, or actually just like looking at your positions and your techniques and making a counter defense for what you have. And then suddenly everything that you learned, it needs to be redo and relearn, and then you're gonna have to go and catch those guys that just passed you. But being humble, it's one of the main things in Jiu-Jitsu.
I gained so much, not just from Jiu-Jitsu time on the mat, but from competing. You know, it was the first time in my life where I started really setting goals, and I became completely 100% focused on accomplishing what I set out to do. And, you know, that has translated into so many different aspects of my life. You know, knowing that I'm probably going to fail a million times before I actually succeed, but it doesn't matter, because I know I'm just going to keep getting back up. I'm just going to keep fighting to achieve what I want to achieve. And, you know, I never had that until Jiu-Jitsu. And I just, you know, for me, it's like, that's been the foundation and the building block for everything else that I have in my life.
You're like, I couldn't imagine Jiu-Jitsu, like not doing Jiu-Jitsu. I would just go crazy. Like I could you?
Yeah,
I don't think I physically could. I think I'm physically addicted to Jiu-Jitsu. Like my body's, I mean, the pain of Jiu-Jitsu, like you train a lot, you get in pain, but who cares? You can like choke someone and they'd be like, that was awesome, man.
Most people you're going to talk to that have been doing Jiu-Jitsu for a long time, it's a major part of their life. It's probably the major part of their life. Anything that you want to get good at and that you do a long time in, you're going to bring it into your life in a different level. And you're going to find parallels with that and what you do normally in your everyday life. So Jiu-Jitsu becomes an idea of becoming a better person, physically, mentally. It works spiritually, because you've invested so much of yourself. You make it into, I don't want to say more than it is, but in a way you make it into more than it is, because it becomes so much a part of you. But I think people do that with anything.
It's an expression of yourself, and you know, it's an art that lends itself to being creative. You know what I mean? And people from all walks of life do Jiu-Jitsu, and so you have powerful people, and then you have people that are more nimble and flexible, and you know, so you get such a variety. You know, it's like the whole spectrum of people that do Jiu-Jitsu. So you know, you get all these different styles and all these different games and all these different people being creative. You know what I mean? And you know, it's one of the few martial arts where it's just evolving constantly. You know, it's always coming up with new things, new ways to do moves and new variations, and you know, it's just, you know, it's endless. You know, that's what I love about it. That's one of the things that keeps me always motivated to learn more, is just because it's constantly endless. You can always refine something, or you learn something completely new, which, you know, kind of sends you in a whole nother direction for a while, you know. So you're always like going one place and then coming back to the basics, and then, you know, evolving and just always learning more.
You really need to trust the person next to you. They are going to help you as the same way that you're going to help them. So that's why we became what we call like a family. It's because of that situation. You cannot train by yourself. So you have to trust the person that he's going to give you the best he can. So as he's going to give the next person the best as you can to help them to evolve on this particular martial art. Like, you cannot just have a punch bag in a corner and, you know, train by yourself. There's no me in Jiu-Jitsu. So you need a group, and you need a really nice group to be around. And that makes the whole essence of Jiu-Jitsu for me. It's to have the friends that I have and to know the people that I know. So basically, it's not just the self-defense and the martial arts and the competition. It's more for the friends that I make. So that's the most important part to me.
You're constantly sacrificing for yourself and for other people, and you see people go through struggles and you help them through it, and that's kind of another parallel to real life, you know what I mean? And it really develops a strong bond between people when you help them through difficult times in their life, and whether it's just in training or whether it's something else in their life that Jiu-Jitsu has helped them work through, like certain maybe emotional issues or addictions that people have had to overcome or whatever it is. Jiu-Jitsu can be therapy, and the people around you just become a support system to help better your life and help achieve things, and that camaraderie develops from that. It's pretty amazing, powerful stuff. Train every day. Jiu-Jitsu.